Hey, what's up? Ken from Palm Beach Dyno here. Today we have a 2020 Explorer ST that just got dropped off by one of our good customers, Brian Updike. He's been gracious enough to allow us to use this for our tuning development. The first thing we're going to do is take it for a ride, let you guys know what we think of it bone stock and go over the features of it. It's a 3.0 liter Ecoboost with a 10-speed transmission and it's all-wheel drive. For those of you that aren't familiar with the older Explorer, the 2013 Explorer Sport was the beginnings of this platform, I would say. It was a front-wheel drive based setup, all-wheel drive, twin turbo 3.5 engine that was similar to the engine in the Taurus SHO. This is an all-new platform, rear-wheel drive based 10-speed transmission, which really takes it from an awesome vehicle, which I had a 2013 Explorer Sport. I still have a 2013 Explorer Sport. It has 116,000 miles on it, and I tell people all the time that it was the best vehicle I've ever owned, period, and the best Ford I've ever owned. But I think that this one is going to put that to shame. So let's go ahead and take it for a ride and see what it feels like. Okay, we're taking the Explorer ST for a quick ride. You know, it's an ST, and you know, it's meant to be on a road course a little bit, I suppose. We don't have a whole lot of curvy roads around here in South Florida to try it out on, but we are just going to try general drivability, how quickly it accelerates, stuff like that. We'll go ahead and do a 0 to 60 time stock and a 0 to 60 time on the final tune-up. Once we get that completed, we'll be using the Draggy app, and for those of you guys that don't know it, it's not just an app, it's a piece of hardware that goes on your vehicle, connects to your cell phone, and does all kinds of very accurate performance timers. So I would consider getting one of those if you're not near a drag strip and you can't go to the drag strip very often. It's very, very accurate. We'll go ahead and at the very end of this video, take it to Palm Beach International Raceway. We'll run the Draggy app and obviously get a real time slip from the drag strip to see how accurate it truly is. And then at the end, I'll wrap up, you know, what I think about the whole deal. Right now, I can tell you this much. Again, I own a 2013 Explorer Sport, which is a similar vehicle to this, and you know, when I first got it, it was awesome, and it's still awesome. I mean, after 116,000 miles, it gets a little rougher, of course. I've updated the suspension and all that on it, but getting into this, brand new, it's got 4,000 miles on it. It's amazing. I mean, super smooth, super quiet. Let's just, all right, so right now I'm going 60. I'm just going to accelerate a little bit. Just perfect. Downshifts, smooth, all that. The pedal's a little bit soft. We have multiple drive modes on this vehicle. We have the normal mode, and then the most important mode most people are going to want to be in or play with is sport mode. Now, we'll go ahead and turn sport mode on now. There's some things I don't like about sport mode. When I'm at the track, I'll use it. When I'm trying for ultimate performance, it's probably the smart mode to use. But one thing I really don't like is it hangs the RPMs when you lift off the throttle. I suppose this is probably angled more towards the autocross type of enthusiast that wants to be on and off the throttle and they don't want the transmission to be hunting for gears, but it's excessive. I'll try and get a video of that on here. Unfortunately, I'm a little short on video cameras right now, but I'll go ahead and show you. Maybe you can hear it. So I'm going to floor it. It's at 4,500. Let go. It's at 4,500. It's at 4,500. I'm hitting the brake. It's at 4,500. You know, it helps with engine braking. It helps with it. It's still just decelerating in that same gear. And then when I give it a little bit of gas, it'll go up to the next gear. Very annoying to drive in this mode all the time, in my opinion. Now, this is something we should be able to fix. We have to find all these things. We use HP tuners to develop our tuning for these vehicles, and we work closely with them to add parameters as we come up with things that are obviously missing or could possibly be added to help us address certain things. There's all types of different shift things about it automatically shifting even when you're in manual mode, automatically downshifting when you're in manual mode. We'll probably be able to address all those things in a short order. Okay, I've been driving around a little bit, just general stop and go traffic. Unfortunately, we don't have a lot of places around here to open things up other than the highway. But I got to tell you that I love this thing already. I'm personally waiting to get rid of my 13 Explorer, waiting on the new Bronco to come out to see what I think about it before I make a decision, but it's going to be really difficult to wait on the Bronco after driving this thing. There's so many things about this that I love compared to my current Explorer. The biggest thing is it being rear-wheel drive based. I don't ever get that torque steer feeling that I would get on my 13. It just, man, it's amazing. I mean, it's like a mini F-150 with a cap on it that's super quiet and super nice and everything inside. Now, a lot of people have spoken about the heads-up display, or not the heads-up display, the iPad-style display in the center here. That's what I think about it. I don't love it. It's not bad. It's way better than what I had in my 2013 with Sync, whatever number that was. It was awful. But this, the form factor's a little bit weird. I'm not sure I love the portrait. I think landscape would have been better, but sometimes, you know, you got to use it to really understand why they did things. So we'll see. Anyway, what we're going to do now is we're going to, I just did a 0 to 60 test for you guys, but we're going to hold off on that until I'm able to do the 0 to 60 testing after the tune. Now, I will tell you that I was not able to achieve the 0 to 60 times that are published by other people and even what's estimated, and I can tell you why. It's because we're in South Florida. Palm Beach County is in South Florida. It is super hot. It is 92 degrees out right now. It just got done raining. It's always extremely humid here. Every single reason that the cars or the SUV is not going to perform as you might expect. So, you know, that's the best reason to do a baseline, because I can go ahead and tune this thing up and go for an awesome 0 to 60 time. And, you know, what happens if I can only get a 5.4 with a tune? Well, you know, if you know the baseline is high because of the weather, then 5.4 may be good. But if you're comparing 5.4 to just some random number that Ford tells you, then it's really hard to know, you know, the gains you're getting. So we'll hold off the 0 to 60 time that I just got till after the dyno. We're going to head over to Pros Tuning in Riviera Beach. They have an all-wheel drive dyno. Unfortunately, we don't have room at Palm Beach Dyno for an all-wheel drive dyno, but we're looking at expanding and adding an all-wheel drive dyno. But for now, we're going to go over there, get this thing tuned up, and then take it back on the road, do a 0 to 60 with the tune. Now, we're going to do a 93 octane tune and a 93 octane plus octane boost tune. Now, there's no easy way for me to put it on the dyno, get the 93 tune, take it off, do the 0 to 60, and then put the octane boost in the tank. So what we're going to do is we're going to forego the 93 octane 0 to 60 times for now. We're going to do what I just did, then the 93 octane plus octane boost 0 to 60, and somewhere in between is going to be the 93 only tune. And of course, you know, this is just the beginning. It's the first one I've touched. Things are going to get much better, but I have a lot of hope for this deal. I don't know how much turbo is left in this system, how much boost we have left, all those sorts of things, but that's what we're going to find out. So let's get it on the dyno and see what kind of power it makes. Okay, we're over at Pros Tuning. We've got the Explorer ST loaded up on the all-wheel drive Mustang dyno. We're going to go ahead and do a baseline run and see what kind of power this thing puts down stock. Okay, we got our baseline done. Let's go ahead and take a look at the graph. We look at max power here. This is a little different than you're used to looking at on my dyno. This is a Mustang dyno, but we're doing all the pulls the same day, so the gains is what we're looking at. They put down 309 rear-wheel horsepower and 368 foot-pounds of torque. There's a look at the power curve. Green is the horsepower, and blue is the torque. I'm starting the pulls a little high. I think the torque would be higher if I could start lower, but I'm having troubles keeping it from downshifting on the dyno. So a lower pull would yield higher torque numbers, but I'm going to start them at the same spot, so we should be good to go. Anyway, we'll go ahead and load the 93 tune in there and see what kind of power it makes. got some good gains there. I can feel it on the dyno. Let's see what it made. So like I said before, we were at 309. Now we're at 352. That's a little bit over 40 horsepower. And then 368 torque to 419 torque. So you're talking, what is that? 42, 52, 61 torque. And then here's the numbers, or the graph. The two green lines are the horsepower curves, and the two blue lines are the torque curves. Obviously it's up everywhere. Very clean graph. I'm very, very happy with this. We're gonna call this good for the pump gas tune. Now keep in mind, it's a brand new application. Could we make more? Probably, but we're gonna leave it here, see what it does at the track. Now we're gonna put some octane boost in the tank and see what kind of power we can make with a little bit more timing. All right, I really like that octane boost. Let's go ahead and take a look at the graph. We're gonna call it good right here. So remember, we made 309, 352 on the pump gas, and with octane boost, 397. Same on the torque, it went way up. 368 to 419 to 474. And looking at the graph here is even more impressive. I went ahead and got rid of air fuel and changed the colors around so you can see it better. Red is 93, or excuse me, stock on 93. Green is our 93 octane tune, no other modifications. And blue is our 93 octane plus VP octane boost. And we're just short of, where is it? 400 horsepower right there. So pretty amazing. I think there's more to go. A lot of people that want to modify them also want to know how much room there is to grow. Obviously, we showed huge improvements with only a few changes. Haven't changed any parts yet. And the real important thing is the turbos on this don't seem to be working very hard yet. We're only at about 35% duty cycle on the wastegates, so we should be able to make a lot more power. Now, temps, of course, are always a concern on any EcoBoost, so we do recommend a air-to-air intercooler upgrade. But you don't have to have it, but to get to, you know, if you're really pushing this thing for performance, an intercooler is definitely a good option. Okay, I just got it off the dyno and did the 0 to 60, and wow. But first, let's go over the 0 to 60 times stock. Let's go ahead and watch that video right now.
$30, $60.
Okay, as you can see, it ran a 6.0 0 to 60. Certainly not bad, but in this weather, you know, you're not going to get maximum performance. It's just the way it works, especially with the humidity we have here. For those that don't understand humidity is not really factored very heavily into the density altitude calculations, but it's going to heavily affect the vehicle. Water doesn't compress, so if there's water in the air, it's just taking up room that you can't use. Anyway, so 6.0, I think I've heard Ford is estimating it at, or other people have estimated it at 5.7 to 5.8 0 to 60. I think Motor Trend is rating a 5.5. I find that possible in really good weather, but in real world conditions, mid-90s, middle of the day, and humid in South Florida, it's a 6.0. Now, almost exact same conditions with the tune 93 octane. Let's watch that video. Yeah, you saw that right. 4.5 0 to 60. I can't believe there's that much of an improvement. Now, of course, it's not everyday numbers. That's with octane boost. But down the road with a flex fuel tune, you could run flex fuel every day and, you know, with no problem and have that sort of performance. So pretty amazing. Now, what I did do is I did a few more polls after that because it was so good. I wanted to make sure it was legitimate. And after that, I was only able to get every single time a 4.6. So a 4.5 is with a cool down, and when I say a cool down, the engine's warmed up, but it's just let it sit for 15, 20, 30 minutes with the hood up, cooled off, and it's going to pick up a decent amount of performance because you get rid of the heat soak. All right, now we're going to head to Palm Beach International Raceway and see what this thing does in the quarter mile. I'm really hopeful that we'll break into the 12s based on what I'm seeing, but you never know till you get to the track. So we're going to head there right now and run this exact tune and see what we get. We're not going to have any time to do any fine tuning at the track because there's some weather moving in, and I'm probably only going to have time for 1 to 2 pulls. I really feel like it's going to run well, and then we'll take the logs based off of this trip, make some changes, and slowly creep our way up onto it. Anyway, let's see what it runs on this tune-up. All right, that pass was hot off the track. In fact, it was heat soaked. I got here, went to tech, sat there for a few minutes, got up to the lane, sat there running for a few minutes, went up there, just launched it like I've been driving it on the street, and here you go. First Explorer Sport in the 12s, 12.90 at 105.9 miles an hour. This was hot off the street. Gonna let it cool down a little bit and make one more hit. That was a good one, I think. A little bit of cool down did it some good. Let me read it to you because this camera's having trouble focusing inside this Explorer. 12.73 at 108 miles an hour with a 1.86 60 foot. I think I can do better on that 60 foot. The tune hasn't been changed. This is right off the dyno. There's a lot left in this platform, people. Very, very exciting what they've done with the Explorer ST here. So we're gonna call that good. You've seen track times, you've seen 0 to 60 times, you've seen dyno times. Check out our next video, probably when the GT500 comes out in the next few months. We're gonna try and do these new car reviews, tuning, track, 0 to 60 type stuff, all that stuff in one big video every time a new car comes out. The GT500 will probably be the next new one, but who knows? If something else comes up before then, we'll do that for you. So see you on the next one.